Okay, so UFC 330 just ended last night, and UFC 330. What does 3 and 3 make? 6, and there are two threes. So two sixes, 6, 6. And that last zero, if you put a hook on the top left-hand corner, you could easily change it to a 6. So that's 6, 6, 6. That was not UFC 330. That was UFC 666. That was a demonic, devilish, hellish card. Okay. So the fighting gods, or should I say fighting devils, were really, really out to screw us who are betting and hoping on some obvious favorites to just win the match that you were supposed to naturally win. Just win. Forget about winning by submission or knockout or TKO or whatever. Dars, Anaconda. Just don't worry about that. Just win the game, win the match, win the fight you're supposed to win. But like I said, the fighting quote gods, I call them devils now. The betting devils were out with their lubes and Vaselines to really give it to us. All right, so this is my reaction to the freaking UFC 666, officially called the UFC 330 card. First up was Jeremiah Wells versus Miktabek Orlbai. Everybody and their ancestors knew, absolutely knew that Miktabek Orlbai would win. But the betting and sports demons and devils, like I said, had acquired a huge part of Vaseline and lube and were really in the mood because in that fight, not only did Orlbai not win, he was freaking choked out. He lost by submission to old man, journeyman Jeremiah Wells. I know local boy, congrats to him, Philly boy, Jeremiah Wells, but that wasn't supposed to happen. But like I said, the betting and sports quote gods, freaking demons, said, you know what? Let's have fun with this card. First off, Miktabek Orlbai submitted. First of all, he was beaten up badly by Wells, who was getting in some nice punches, and then eventually submitted, put to sleep by Jeremiah Wells. Raise your hands if you saw that coming. Anyone who raised their hand, that hand needs to be chopped off because you're a freaking liar. All right. So that was the first bend over, spread them by the betting and sporting demons who are really out to get us in this card. So Mictebek Orobai lost and lost badly by submission. And of course, those of us who are recovering, well, let me speak for myself. I'm still, I just got out of probation and rehab from the Topuria fight, where I lost everything and the kitchen sink in that Topuria fight. So I came out, rehab, probation, and I was warned, don't go back to the books. But being the incorrigible degenerate gambler handicapper that I am, I went borrowing from cousins, aunties, uncles, even from the kids' piggy bank while they were sleeping. I broke their piggy bank and I stole their little pennies because I was thinking, no, this card, I'm going to get back everything I lost in this card. And the one key core win for sure, lock of the night, for sure, no doubt about it, safety, whatever you want to call it, for sure, I felt and I knew that Mictebek Orobai should win. And I didn't want to be greedy. I had a lot of people, hey, win by submission, win by this, win by that, win in the first round, win in the second round, under this. I was like, you know what? Just win, Mektebec Orobai. Just win. And if you win by submission or in the distance, whatever, extra bonus, icing on the cake, but just bake the freaking cake and win. And he went out there and laid a freaking egg and lost badly. That was the first plunger into our buttholes by the betting and sporting demons. Okay, so that was the first one. Make Tebek Oro by one. And being the degenerate that I am, I was like, okay, you know what? These crazy things happen once in a while. That was the fluke of the night. That was the weird fight of the night. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, let's move on. Neil Magny, Ramesh Brahimaj. I knew it was 50-50, but I really thought Ramesh would pull it out. He didn't, but it is what it is. Initially, I went into this thinking 50-50, and I sprinkled a little on Ramesh, hoping he would get it done, but he didn't. That sprinkle, I can let go. But again, that was a little plug in, plug out by the sporting and betting demons, who, were still doing their thing behind us in our buttholes. Okay, moving on. Tobias Fernando. I knew that Fernando would win. I had that strong feeling. The problem is I put him in a small parlay with freaking Orobai, who freaking lost. So Lucas Fernando won as I expected, even though a few people I knew did like Tobias, but I was like, nah, Fernando should be able to get it done. And he did get it done, but the Orobai loss effed me up in this Fernando win because I paired him up with Orobai. Because why not? Orobai was an anchor, a strong anchor to my parlays. And right off the bat, Orobai effed me up with Fernando's win, even though Fernando won. Orobai effed it up for me because I put him in a parlay with Fernando. Moving on. Okay. Luque and Gore. Nice fight. It was 50-50. I didn't know which way it would go. I hoped Gore would win. He did win. Um, but yeah, again, I put him in my all by parlay, and Gore's win, even though he won, uh, all but F that up for me also. So, the fighting and betting demons and devils are still having fun in my butthole. Moving on. Dante Johnson, Eric McConaughey. All right. Even though I did hear on the side Eric McConaughey had a little bit of a fighting chance, I knew 80% Dante Johnson would get it done. But again, I paired him up in a parlay with Mictabek Orobai. I know that was stupid of me, but come on, guys. Who in their wildest nightmares envisaged Mictabek Orobai losing, let alone losing as badly as he did? No one saw that happening. In everyone's safety, luck of the night, whatever, Mictabek Orobai was amongst the top for sure that were gonna win. All right. But of course he lost. Now, Dante Johnson, I bet him, or I thought, maybe he could finish the quickest because he comes out fast like a bat out of hell. Maybe he would get the quickest, fastest win. So I bet that it was looking good for a while. He did win. He did win quickly. But then again, like I said, the betting and sporting demons were out to really, really ram me hard. And they were snickering. I was thinking this was a sure lock. No one is going to have a faster victory than Dante. But let's move on because I will tell you where, again, the betting and sports gods slash demons shoved it really, really deep. I'm talking about like I felt it in my, what is it, duodenum deep when they shoved it in. Yeah, go look up where the duodenum is in the human body. Uh, you know, you don't want to get rammed up the butt to get to that region. That means that's like that's not pleasure anymore. That's freaking torture. But anyway, let's move on. So I'm thinking Dante Johnson won. He won the fastest. Oh, he's gonna get the fastest win. I have a win there, but like I said, the betting, the betting and sports demons, they had other ideas and plans for me. So let's move on. Okay. Charles Johnson, Eduardo Chapolin. Eduardo Chapolin is a kid. He has some prospects, he has some promise. But come on, Charles Johnson is an OG, a veteran, and I knew he would get it done. Eduardo, you're coming up, but Charles was just a touch too much for you this time. And yeah, only other OGs and real vets take Charles down. And Eduardo is still coming up. He had promised. He showed some good spots, but yeah, his time is not now and not against Johnson. So Johnson got that win. That's good. That was expected. Even though initially it was iffy because most of us were like, this Eduardo guy, what is he about? What can he really bring to the table? What can he offer? So a lot of people were backing out, and I actually didn't bet on this fight because I wasn't sure. which way, because Eduardo was like, an unknown X factor, and we didn't know how much he would bring to the table. But I kind of knew Charles should get the win, and Charles got the win. All right, let's move on. Okay, Chidi and Joquani and Joel Alvarez. Everybody again, and their mother, not their mother, but their great, 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 oh, their mother too, but their great, 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 great grand auntie and mother believed and knew that Joel Alvarez would win. But no, the betting gods were like, no, we're not done with your butts yet. Spread them, spread them, spread them. We're going to rip you a new one. And Chidi and Jaquani, surprisingly, I'm guessing, messed up people's parlays like mine was messed up. Chidi and Jaquani won. And it was a weird fight. And Joel Alvarez was smiling like he knew, yeah, I've made a side deal with them, quote, you know who them are. And they, quote, they have offered me a good deal to lose this fight. So that's why I'm smiling. Because even though I lost, just a little red mark blemish on my record. But hey, now I can build that house in North Texas, or I can, extend my estate in Arizona or whatever. So, they made him an offer he couldn't refuse. They, quote, and Joe Alvarez, I'm guessing, accepted. And in the process, effed up those of us who knew and believed he should win this fight, and not just win it, but win it in the distance. But nope, the sports and betting demons had plans for us on this UFC 660 card. No, 666 card. Okay, so Joel surprisingly lost. All right, let's move on. Our butts are super sore, but the sporting gods slash demons are not done with it yet. All right, so Edson Barbosa, Esteban Ribovics. It went kind of as expected. Poor Edson Barbosa. It is what it is. In his prime, he was like amongst the man. But Father Time and age catches up with everyone. He tried his best. He tried to do his thing, but it just wasn't there for him anymore. And Esteban won, as expected. Problem was, like a lot of other people, I'm guessing, I put Esteban in a parlay with ding, 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 ding. You got it. Oral fucking bad. So that got messed up also. All right, but good win by Esteban. It just didn't pay off for me because I parlayed him with freaking Orobai. Let's move on. Okay. This one was where the gods plugged it up my butthole and it came out of my nose, it came out of my ears, right? It forced itself through the pores of my fingers. I didn't know what the hell was going on in this fight. Again, everybody and their grandmama picked Mansour Abdul Malik to win, and not just to win, but to win big against Stolfus. But Stolfus was like, nope, 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 nope. I got something for y'all. The sporting and betting demons have possessed me, and I'm going to do their will through my fight. And he ended up beating badly Mansour Malik Abdul. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I kept quiet for a few seconds, and I could hear the cackling from the ether, from somewhere above me in the atmosphere. And it was the freaking betting demons, the sports demons, cackling their heads off as they were plundering my butthole. And I was like, my goodness, this is too much. I'm dying here. And they kept cackling. So anyway, Mansoor freaking lost. Who saw that coming? Nobody. Mansoor and Orobar were arguably my two strongest locks, and they ended up bumping me. They ended up, like, I don't know, torturing me up the butthole. It was torturous, torturous. So that was another big super loss. Very disappointing from this UFC 666 card. Okay. Jalen Turner and Kari Fernandez. Yeah, it kind of went as I thought, but again, I paired up Jalen in a parlay with Abdul Malik, and Abdul Malik effed that up for me. But this went as I thought. Fernandez kicked him a couple of times, and Jalen was like, nah, bust this. I am not taking this kicks. And he launched and nuked Fernandez in the quickest finish of the card, messing up my Dante Johnson pick to be the quickest finish. So there I was thinking, in this effed up hellish card, at least I have one little good thing going for me. Dante Johnson for sure had the quickest win. Nobody can beat it. And the fucking sports betting demons up there were like, watch this. And they really lubed up and they spread me bad and they really shot it in for this one. And Jalen Turner KO Fernandez in like what, 20 plus seconds? And effed up my quickest win by Dante Johnson pick and bet. So this was the hellish card that kept on giving and giving and giving. And my butthole kept on taking and taking and taking. And it hurt like a motherfucker. It hurt like a mofo. So anyway, let's move on. Mackenzie Dern, Jillian Robertson. Eh, I had a feeling Mackenzie Dern would win. She won. It was not a very exciting fight. Julian picked it up late, but too little, too late, and Mackenzie won. Let's move on. I paired Mackenzie in another parlay with, yes, you guessed it, all by and Mansoor Malik. And they effed up this win by Mackenzie Dern. Mm. And then in the final, Ian Machado Gary, he did his best, but Islam is Islam. And Machado Gary was just not quite the one to pull it off. He did good, especially in the later rounds, 3, 4. Machado did, but the pressure from Makachev was just too much. And yeah, as most people expected, Makachev won. But, give Gary his little props. He did his best. All right. So this is UFC 666, officially called UFC 330. I can't think of a more hellish card with hellish results. I mean, apart from the Poirier loss, I'm still, hurting from that one. So, like I said, out on probation, rehab, warned not to go anywhere near the books. I begged, I clawed, I borrowed, I stole to bet on this card, thinking, okay, for sure, Mansour Malik, for sure, Orobai will see me through, for sure. And of course, for sure, the sports and betting gods were like, okay, we want your ass tonight, and we gonna get it, and we gonna rip you a new one, and we gonna get that new one, and we gonna rip you a third one, and we gonna get that third one, and we are going to replace your blood with our demonic spunk. And that's exactly what they did. And I am sitting on triple pads right now because my butt is on fire, and it'll be on fire for a while. The little ones will wake up very soon and see their piggy banks broken, and they will know that daddy and uncle degenerate has struck again. So back to the rehab, back to being locked down, because I never learned. Next week is UFC Sacramento. Will I be dipping into that pool? Let's wait and see. But this was a hellish card, folks. And you know what I mean. Those of you who had stakes in the card, and those of you who watched the fights, you know what I mean. This was a hellish card. Everything that could go wrong went wrong and more. So, you know, it is what it is. My butt is very sore. And yeah, this was a UFC 666 hellish card. Disastrous, disastrous, disastrous.